Hey students, I'm going to be honest, I don't love having a video of myself, but it's kind of necessary for this next lesson. So I'm going to be looking at my screen and I'm going to look at you and I want to tell you something. So pretty much just listen to me talk, and then when it's time, I'll say what I want to say and I'll show you things I want to show you. So this is where we kind of left off, sort of. This actually is not where we left off. This is lesson number 2. So we went over the planes of the body. Now we want to get into the directional terms. And if you were in class with me live lecture, I would teach you some hands-on motions to help you learn these terms. And that's why I want to be able to video this and show it to you. Okay, so hopefully it's helpful. If you can, especially if you're a hands-on or a kinesthetic learner, this might be helpful to you. So our next task is to learn the positions and we call these directional terms, the directional terms of the body, how one body part is related to another body part. So how do you describe your nose to your chin? How can you describe that? Your nose is higher up than your chin. So there's actually words that we can use, and there's anatomical terminology that we use to better describe that. So these terms that are pictured here, and I move myself over here, you can see all these terms. Those are the ones that we're going to go through. And I'm going to use some hand signals to help us. And if you're at home watching this, you need to do these too and practice them. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Maybe I went too far. No, I want to go to the next slide. Yep. And I'm going to put myself back over here now, out of the way. So, and again, I would be taking notes on a piece of paper. I would write all of these down. You're going to be responsible for knowing all of these terms. You might even want to draw like some little pictures to help you. So the first set of terms, and these pretty much come in pairs, is the term superior and inferior. Superior is talking about a structure being closer to the head, watch my fingers here now, closer to the head than another body part. Whereas inferior is closer to the feet or the toes, down this way. So when I say superior, up, closer to my head, inferior, down, closer to my toes. Okay, superior. So now I want to just talk about the nose and the chin. Can you use those terms to describe? How is the nose related to the chin? If you're thinking the word superior, then you'd be correct. The nose is superior to the chin, just further down. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let's get the next set. Anterior and posterior. Okay, anterior refers to a structure being more in front than another structure in the body. More in the front. Okay, so here again, I'm using my hands to show. Anterior, towards the front of the body. Posterior refers to a structure being more in the back of the body. So anterior, towards the front. Posterior, towards the back. Superior, up towards the head. Inferior, down towards the feet. Practice that a few times. Say it to yourself. Hit pause. Superior, inferior, anterior, posterior, in the back. Okay. As an example, we could come up with an example here. We'll think of a structure. What is a structure that might be more anterior in the body? Maybe like the belly button. That's pretty anterior. So we could say the belly button or umbilicus is anterior to the intestines. Okay. Or you could say your spine is posterior. You can flip it. Your spine is posterior to your lungs. Okay. Those are just ways that we can describe where the body parts are and how they're located. Okay. Inferior. No, I just said it wrong. Superior, inferior, anterior out front, posterior toward the back. So those are our ones we've got so far. Okay, medial and lateral. Medial refers to a structure being closer to the midline. Remember the midline, mid-sagittal plane? This structure is closer to the midline of the body. So when I say medial, whereas lateral refers to a structure being further away from the midline. I know that's cutting that screencastify is cutting that off a little bit. You can always go to the original PowerPoint. I'll have posted somewhere on Schoology to see it. But lateral is further away from the midline. So when I show, or if I say medial, closer to the midline, lateral, away. superior, up, inferior, down, anterior, in front, posterior, back, medial, lateral, away from the midline. Let's think of a body part that might be more medial. Let's use the nose again. Your nose is medial to your ears. Your nose is closer to the midline. It's right in the midline. So the nose is medial to the ears, and you can flip it if you want. You can say the ears are lateral to the nose. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We're going to go on. The next terms are called distal and proximal. And you can see here on this girl the word root. Now these terms refer to the extremities only. So we're only talking about the arms and the legs. You're only going to use the terms distal and proximal for arms or legs. Why? Because it refers to a structure being further away from the root of the limb, if you're talking about distal, than another structure in the limb. Distal is further away from the root. When I show this in the classroom, this is the root, kind of like at your shoulder here, or your hip, but I'm sitting down. And then distal is further away. So I usually show that further away, distal, in the distance, further away. Okay, proximal is closer to the root. So you're going the other direction. Proximal, in close proximity. Proximity is being close. So proximal means closer to the root, and distal is further away. Okay, quick review. Superior, inferior, anterior, posterior, medial, lateral, proximal, distal in the distance. Okay, there's this hand signal spread. Pause this, practice those terms. Okay, pause it and take notes, pause it and practice. Practice until you really get that down and you know it really well. And then go on. Okay, this is a slide here that's just talking about the skeleton in general, and honestly, I'm just going to skip this. Let's go to the next set of terms, superficial and deep. Superficial means toward the surface of the body, closer to the surface of the body. Okay, deep, deeper in there, more toward the core of the body. So these are terms that you can use when you have things that are kind of close together and one's more to the surface and one organ, let's say, is like more deep. The picture here is showing the sternum, which is your breastbone, this bone right here, the sternum being more superficial to the heart. The heart is underneath. So the sternum being closer to the surface of the body is called superficial, and the heart is deep. And when I do this in the classroom, I say superficial because that's more towards your surface, deep, like deep in there, deep in that gut. Okay, so superficial on the surface, deep. Okay, and then now roll through again. Superior, inferior, anterior, posterior, medial, lateral, superficial, deep, proximal, distal. Do that till you get it, okay? We're going to do that in the classroom like 100 times until we all get it. All right, and then we've got a little bit more here, ventral and dorsal. Ventral and dorsal on a human being is the same as anterior and posterior. When you have a four-legged animal, then ventral and dorsal is different than anterior and posterior. So for the humans, ventral and dorsal is the same. Ventral is towards the front. Okay, it's belly side. So in the classroom, I just touched my belly, my ventral, belly side up. And then dorsal is like a dorsal fin on a shark. I can show that. There's my shark dorsal fin. Okay, dorsal is towards the back. So ventral, dorsal. Okay, you could say your stomach is ventral compared to your spine. I don't know. Honestly, in humans, medically, the terms anterior and posterior are what's most often used. But if you're interested in veterinarian stuff or working with animals, it is different on a four-legged animal because you think about the way think about your dog or your cat, their head is not the same as their belly. It's not the same side. On a person that's standing up, your head and your belly are in line with each other. But in an animal, it's different. Their head is more anterior, and then they have a ventral side, and then they have a posterior side, which is the tail end, and then their dorsal side on their back, like a dorsal fin on a shark, is their back side. So there is 4 different directions on an animal, 4-legged animal, but we'll just go over those terms anyway. Okay, these are the last set of terms here. You have, and these are opposites as well. Prone means lying face down. If you were lying face down, then you're said to be in a prone position. That's called prone. And they have a little thing here like a pro baseball player sliding into home, if that's a little help there to you. Prone is laying on your belly. And supine is lying face up. So this is a lying on your spine, and you can have soup poured into your mouth. Those are little tricks. So I think of supine on your spine, supine on your spine. That's how I remember. I don't really have any hand signals for that. Unilateral means one side of the body. So unilateral meaning like you have an injury on your right knee. So unilateral, it's one side. Or bilateral meaning you come in and both knees are bothering you. So bilateral pain. So 2 different sides. Okay, I think that's all we got. Yeah, then we get into movements. We're not going to go that far. So again, practice these. There might be some worksheets that are posted if you're learning at home that you're going to want to do those. Try to do those electronically or whatever activities that I do have posted. But definitely take good notes. Work through these activities that I have on the Nearpod lesson until you really, really get it down and master it. All right, thanks.